as they continue with their mission. Most all is pretty good.
Please be seated. Thank you everyone who is attending in person, and thank you those attending online. As usually, we'll start with a few updates, and then I'll give the word to Michelle. She will have health-related presentation, relevant material evaluation. I think it's cool enough we can use this one at least. I think the noise level is not that different.
I need it.
Okay, we'll begin with aircraft status. Lon is not able to attend today's meeting, but he gave me current status. Aircraft actually is flying great. We only had one discrepancy. Right door window is not closing, so we were waiting for a replacement part. And we received the replacement part at the maintenance one. An aircraft was grounded to get that window repaired. We have flown the aircraft together with Terry for IPL mission this past weekend. The aircraft performed perfectly. We watched the oil consumption, and it seems good, in line with expectation. One quart of oil was added before flying for IPL. We flew almost 15 hours before we needed to add more oil. So I think is a normal range. One small issue was noted. The backup altimeter is kind of unstable. It's not so noticeable on the ground, but at altitude it's jumping around pretty significantly. But it's backup and it reads in the right area, so we'll see if maintenance one finds anything. There may be something inside the pitot system which could be creating an interference. Other than that, through the end of the month we still have G1000 to 743 Charlie Papa, after which we are swapping airplanes with Fullerton Squadron. So those seeking G1000 endorsement would have to either travel to Fullerton or Palm Springs to get your Form 5 done in G1000 aircraft. If you are in process of getting onboarded, so use this 2 weeks as soon as aircraft is out of maintenance. Go and fly it, and may potentially you have an opportunity to get your Form 5 completed in 182 with G1000, and then you'll add 206 after that, once we have the aircraft here. Any questions on any of this? Yes?
Yeah, can you, what aircraft do we have currently?
It's same Cessna 182, G1000, 743 Charlie Papa.
And that's going to
Fullerton, yes.
For
That's
permanent
originally
or temporary?
permanent. That's originally Fullerton aircraft. We had it on temporary basis here. So we are getting Zelda, what's known as Zelda.
I know Zelda.
Right, so it's coming back. It's been at the Imperial also, and it flies fine. So we are just getting our aircraft back. And it's more suitable, based on discussions among Group 3 pilots, it's more suitable for type of the area we have with mountains and the number of cadets we need to take on all rides. On 182 we typically are limited with maximum 2 cadets because of the weight and balance. On 206, not an issue.
What's the expect date on 206?
What is expected
The
date?
expect date on Zelda coming back.
September 1st.
Thank you.
All right. We have a visitor. Please introduce yourself.
Everyone, I was looking around to see if I recognize anybody, because I've been here maybe 3 or 4 times for SAR-X's and whatnot, but I don't recognize anybody here. So I'm Johnny Ciceda. I'm one of the reservists in the area. Actually, pretty much the only reservist up until recently. Now we have a couple more that have gotten onboarded, but Like I said, I've been here a few times. I've been trying to get out here since during the COVID days when nobody was meeting. I actually came out here once, but I've been trying to get out here for a meeting, so I just want to come say hi, introduce myself. Are you all planning to have a role in the winglet exercise next month? Anybody planning to be here for that? Still staging
some
it,
of
right?
our members planning to attend, I believe, but I don't have any pending ratings I have to reconfirm, so I'm not going to any wing exercises. But if anyone is going, please let us know.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be back here for that, so I know that this is one of the staging areas for it.
Okay.
Yeah, just want to come say hi and see how you guys are doing business and just meet you all.
Sounds good. Thank you. We are meeting regularly. We are not skipping meetings these days. We've been pretty regular for the past, well, I would say, 2 years. As soon as COVID restrictions were lifted, we resumed our standard 1900 on Tuesdays. And every Tuesday we have hangar event. We meet and get some burgers done, some hot dogs, etc.
When is that?
So it's actually this month, the last Tuesday of the month will be Night Hawk, as we call it. You're welcome to join us. It will be at the hangar right behind the Riverside Flight Academy.
Okay.
The next row, hangar number 13. It will be at 1800.
Okay, I'll reach out to you for that. Yeah, normally I don't have Tuesday nights off, so this is one of the rare occasions I make the attempt to come out here. So,
Sounds good.
Which are you in March?
Mm-hmm.
Which squadron are you?
I'm at 452 AMXS.
I was there for a while, man. What's your name?
Luke Beanstra.
Name looks familiar. I used to. I was at AMXS for a while, and then I moved over to 752, and I ventured off a couple of the places. And I found this cool role in Cap USAF. So
Crew chief, and then now in supervision.
okay, cool. Who's over there right now? Who's the chief?
Chief Michelle Summers and Chief Jason Knapp.
I heard Jason. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Jason Knapp I've known for 20 plus years. We're good friends.
Yeah, I was in there when Mike Gonzalez and Dell was a pro suit there, and who's the other chief we had? Anyway, we can catch up later.
Sorry.
Sorry, I want to take over here.
No worries. That's what we do here. We share the news and.
Small little Air Force room we got here.
Okay, so I have some great news. We have a new wing commander. Lieutenant Colonel Craig Newton is taking over of a command, and on behalf of our squadron, I congratulated Lieutenant Colonel Newton with this role, and I personally met him a few times. I think he'll be a great leader for our wing. So, speaking of which, I highly recommend to sign up for California Wing Conference, which is coming up, I believe, sometime in October. There is an email distributed about that. There is a little bit of a fee involved, and if you prefer to stay at the hotel where the conference is held, you would need to book your room at the special rate. So check your emails. If you need the information on that, let me know. Some things you can do at the wing conference is to work on professional development, attend some interesting general topic classes, attend the banquet, where we will certainly celebrate achievements of the California wing, recognize the units in our wing, and recognize our members, as well as congratulate Craig Newton for taking that role. I don't know if it's congratulating or not, but one way or the other.
See, that's going to be at Van Nuys. I was thinking of 13 and 14, but I'm really not sure.
I will look it up while Michelle is presenting, and I'll give an update. For those who is using the aircraft, keep in mind the hangar door is kind of tight, fully moving. We raised the concern to the airport. Airport is working with Mike Swift on getting it fixed. So most likely It's worn down, the hinge is rusted, which holds the bearing wheel, which slides back and forth, and the whole door sank in a little bit. So most likely that's the problem, and the whole door kind of wobbly. So I did my best cleaning the trucks yesterday. It helped a little bit, but not much. So work in progress. In line with that, we hope to get the carpet in the hallway finally replaced, maybe even this month. I raised the issue again to the airport manager. They came back and that's giving us the update that by rules they have to get 3 quotes from different vendors. They finally got the 3rd quote and they chose the vendor. Supposedly the carpet has been ordered and supposedly it will be installed sometime soon. So I'll keep you posted on that. A reminder that there is a WAMO duty starting tomorrow. Our group is responsible for it for next couple of weeks. So check the sign-up sheet which was distributed by our communications officer and alerting officer. And if you see any open spots, please pick a spot. If you see some of the members taking a couple of days in a row, maybe you can help your fellow member to take over that responsibility and release them from extra load. Another event coming up on August 26th is Cadet Field Day. Major banner distributed information via email to the whole group. If you are available and would like to help as a volunteer, adult volunteers are highly valuable. So please reach out to Major Banner and see what kind of help you can provide. We spoke about Nighthawk, so keep in mind the 5th Tuesday will be at the hangar. I will send the RSVP worksheet via email, most likely even today, if not this week for sure. As usually, just respond. You're welcome to bring your guests. Guests eating free. Members who usually contribute a little bit to compensate for the food we buy. And if anyone would like to cook burgers and hot dogs, let me know. If nobody volunteers, I'll do that. From financial perspective, we have again an increase in rent, but this year is not as significant as last year. It's 3.9%. This month I work with finance committee to put together a budget for the next year, and it will give us an idea what will be the dues, estimated dues for the next year based on present level of membership. At this time we have total of 31 members, and about, I think last time I looked, was 22 active members. And active members are those who actually come to the meetings and pay the membership dues for the squadron. So work in your community, in your circles, invite more members, invite potential candidates, bring them here. More members we have, less we will pay as membership dues. Additionally, Michelle suggested that we should establish a fundraising program, and we will participate in one which is actually authorized by National. That's Wrath Across America. As soon as we have the details, I'll share it with everyone. It's not difficult to do, but has a pretty good potential support for our unit. If you have any other fundraising ideas, you're welcome to share. Let me know. If you have wealthy friends and they are willing to contribute, that's always an option. But we need to get that approved and fund properly through the financial channels. Last but definitely not least, I would like to call Michelle Quintin front and center, please. I have great news to share. Michelle completed level 2 professional development. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job. You are walking at a high speed, and I present to you a certificate of
Oh.
completion, and you have an advancement in your development within Civil Air Patrol.
Wow.
Good job.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much. And from here, giving over to you with your presentation as a health officer for the unit, please.
Thank you. Hopefully it wouldn't take too long. Wow, that was unexpected.
Well, good job. You're moving very fast.
I feel like we missed the round of applause or something.
I'm a little short here, so.
Hey, adjust it.
Okay.
Functional.
And I can share this PowerPoint, so hopefully I don't mess it up again.
Let's do that. I'll put, sorry. I'll make it full screen.
Hope everyone can see me. For those who, of course, are new, I'm Michelle. I'm the health service officer, and from time to time, I like to present topics related to aviation as well as health topics related that would benefit you guys and helps me to learn a thing or two as well. This time I decided to go with, hold on, let me get my notes here before I go off track, with the topic of nutrition. And I wanted to start with the a checklist that I'm sure most of you are fully aware. The I am safe checklist. Now, of course, as pilots, you utilize this self-assessment checklist to determine your physical and mental health as part of planning before flights, and it will mostly focus on, basically mostly focus on the last letter, because many people in all aspects are good at catching the first 5, illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, but for some reason the last one might not be recognized. So we'll be mostly focused on that. And when I was looking up, some places have Eden as the last acronym, and some have emotion, but they both kind of go hand in hand. Let's see if this
And
works.
probably emotion is easier to disregard than nutrition.
Very true. Let's see if this works here. There we go. So, consuming food isn't just about satisfying hunger or simply putting something in your stomach to stop the frequent grumbling or hangriness, as I like to call it. It is there to aid and assist our essential physiologic functions. So, nutrients are a substance or ingredient that promotes growth, provides energy, and of course maintains life. And that includes things like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and lipids, vitamins, minerals, and of course water. Now, there is some truth in the old maxim, you are what you eat. If you feed your body with good, wholesome nutrients, nutritious food, you will feel good, be able to manage your workload and stress, and be productive. However, in contrast, if you eat junk all the time and you're not careful as to what you are eating or consuming, you will feel lethargic, depressed, lacking in energy. You will also experience mood swings, feelings of agitation and irritability as well. And that's not an ideal fit when you're in a cockpit situation. There we go. The human body and the brain are designed to operate and sustain using food, water, and oxygen. Similarly, an airplane needs the correct fuel, aerodynamics, to fly. The human brain is responsible for all cognitive functions and consumes approximately 20% of your daily calories. And it can only run off glucose. Now you might be wondering, okay, what is glucose? It is just a simple fancy term for blood sugar. And being aware of your blood sugar is not just for diabetics. We all should know how our body behaves when we are hungry, and those are usually signs of low blood sugar. Signs such as anxiety, dizziness, headache, hunger, inability to concentrate, irritability, shakiness, and sweating. And I can attest those are symptoms that I have myself experienced when I choose sometimes when I choose not to eat something, I'm trying to fulfill what I need, my tasks, and I forego eating, and it's very detrimental. So glucose is the simplest type of carbohydrates or carbs, making it a monosaccharide, which is basically one sugar. Dietary glucose and other carbohydrates eventually converts to blood glucose in the body. Along with fat and protein, glucose is one of the body's primary fuel sources, and it cannot be stored in the body. Therefore, a readily available source is extremely important, and they are mostly abundant in starches and sugars. Now, carbs are considered either simple or complex, and it's basically based on how fast the body can digest those sugars. Now, according to the American Heart Association, the body digests carbs more slowly, therefore the supply is steadier, and it gives us a steadier energy source. So if you think maybe a candy bar is a great pick-me-up, it's not. It goes through you very quickly, and I actually have a case study that goes into this.
But it tastes good.
Oh, it does. Oh, trust me, it does. I know.
The instant reward.
Unfortunately, nurses are notorious for donuts. But it's very fast, it goes through you very quickly, and you're hungry just like that. So, found this interesting case study from Australia, actually. A pilot who passes out. He flies his plane unconscious for about 40 minutes after skipping breakfast. Now, this was during a flight from Parafield to Port Augusta. The pilot only consumed a bottle of Gatorade, some water, and a chocolate bar during his stopover. Now, if you remember to the first slide, it talked about the I am safe checklist. He had advised that the night prior, he had suffered from restless night of sleep and was recovering from a mild cold. So he did not do the I am safe checklist on himself. He also reportedly got a headache, switched to autopilot while flying at 5,500 feet. The incident underlined the importance of pilots being able to assess their own ability to fly. And that would have, all of those things that I mentioned would have disqualified him from flying that day. And this was a trainee. And because of this incident, they adjusted things for their trainee pilots because of that. Now, of course, I don't want you to think that, I don't want you to think that you only need to eat like rabbit food or salads, but that basically a proper meal is needed when you're getting into the cockpit of any aircraft. Basically, the whole point of this I'm trying to make is to make sure that basically how we look after ourselves has a direct correlation on how we operate, and thus more attention should be paid to this lesser discussed aspect of flying. It makes you kind of ponder, out of all of the aviation incidences which were deemed to be pilot error, how many of them could have been attributed to lapse in concentration and poor judgment due to a drop in cognitive function from not eating properly. It is something at least to think about. So, that's it. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Good job.
It wasn't going to be very long, but it's just something that I know the commander went over weather last week, and Major Man went over dehydration, and sometimes we tend to overlook eating as a vital aspect. We just run out of the door and just pick up the first thing we see.
So I have my flight physical on Thursday,
Mhm.
and for some reason, like I always have, I don't have high blood pressure, but for some reason, like whenever I get into a clinical setting and somebody takes my blood pressure,
It's
like,
a little higher.
It's higher than what it normally is
It
because I
is a word
just
for
feel
that.
nervous.
It's a word for that. It's called white coat syndrome. I
Is there-
actually
is
have
there-
someone who has that same problem.
I've always had that too.
Yes.
Because I have,
Well,
you know,
I had
my
to do
my
that
resting
for
heart
30
rate is
years.
always in the 50s. I run like 3 miles a day.
Oh my God.
So I don't know, like, is there anything I can do to make myself less nervous, or like,
Actually, there's
So I
one
can have a
person
more
back there can
accurate-
talk about
I
that.
have the exact same problem. I can't, for some reason, even with the family doctor that I've been seeing for, 10, 15 years now? It doesn't matter, but what we have started doing is we've been taking blood pressure at home to establish
Right.
the record that my blood pressure is just fine. It's this setting that's making me nervous. I don't know any way to get over it, but that does at least help with the record keeping, is actually taking blood pressure in other settings.
Establish a baseline outside of the hospital setting, that
Yeah.
way.
Show them that
yeah, I actually got one of those cuffs,
yes,
so I
and that
I
actually
take
helps.
it myself.
And actually write it down,
Yeah.
time it, date it, say which arm you put it on,
Okay.
and that helps. I mean, it has helped for Chris
That's
whenever he
good.
goes. So at least we can say that, oh no, this is not high blood pressure, it's just anxiety based on the setting, and it literally is called white coat syndrome.
You know what I've kind of done, because the same thing. I was tired of getting begged by them, say, "Oh, you're about to die." I'm like, "Wait, I got to figure a way around this." Every time we're going to get the flu shot, then check your vitals before that. I've always done that pausing technique, that breathing technique, where you in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, and just kind of calm yourself down. Especially when you're going right into the setting to where you're gonna, like, hey, I just walked in here, let me just calm down for a little before you take this in. That's worked out great for me. So.
Another thing is, of course, you could have them take it initially, and then say, can you take it again after you've also, like you said, calmed
Yeah.
down. It doesn't, taking multiple ones aren't gonna hurt.
Right.
It's just a cuff pressure, but at least they'll show that there is a correlation between anxiety.
Anxiety and blood pressure.
And try to avoid the lines. One of the things I used to do when I got over there is that they would push you through, and they just take one, whoop, that's it, and mark it down, and that's it, you know? No, you wait until it's really slowed down, and then, do the other stuff first, and then go back, and, oh, well, it's a little high. Well, okay, I won't record it this time, if you get the right person.
Well, you can
I can
always
tell you some
ask them
stories.
to, take it later, or take it after they've done everything else. These are just recommendations.
That you could also do. But any other questions?
Can you maybe talk a bit about the effect of emotion on safety?
Oh, yeah. Well, basically, just like eating, if you don't consume, case in point, finished working last night, and I worked 12-hour night shift, had an admit that was very busy, didn't eat. I ate very little of my lunch, but because I only ate a little amount of it, I started noticing I'm starting to get anxious. I'm starting to get flustered, even though I know what I'm doing, I can handle the situation. That change in blood sugar can affect everything. I find I get short-tempered, snippy. So all of these different emotions can occur when you don't take care of yourself properly. You can't fly a plane, you can't even drive a car properly if you, all of those emotions can manifest itself physiologically. And you always have to keep that in mind whenever you're doing anything, whether it's flying a plane, driving, even if it's the simplest of things. Emotion can have a broader debilitating effect if it's not taken care of, or if you don't find out what the initial cause of it is. It could be eating, it could be lack of sleep, it could be dehydration, stress. All of those things in the I Am Safe checklist can be detriment to your emotion, even medication, as you can see in those warning labels that everyone should read.
Certainly,
Years
especially
of
though,
education.
there's a psychological database. I'm going back to the 80s. 3 major causes of accidents are divorce, death in the family, and money. Because they're so concentrated on what's going, you have to really force it not to become a major issue when you're fine. So, you know, I may lay awake at night thinking about a lot of things. I've got an issue in Phoenix. My sister has had 2 operations in one day and is cantankerous. You know, complaining that she's not getting fed, but some of her colon is missing due to cancer. And so I have to calm the issue when I try and call her. But just saying, some of the stuff, and there's a big list that continues on down. In fact, when I went through my divorce, I had a friend went in and saw the chief. He says, "You don't give Pierce a bunch of crap. He's going through a divorce, you understand?" He walked back out of the office. And I had a lot on my mind because of my children. And I hauled them around in my knapsack in the back, and all of a sudden they're gone. But there are some things that you need to really do, and there's a lot of self-control. So you can really, I remember taking the EEK for American Airlines, and they're looking at the brain waves to form a database in case there's an accident. They want to see just what the brain is doing if you've been involved in an accident. And I'm laying there, and I'm really concentrating, and the guy says, "He's going to sleep," and I'm laughing internally, and I'm just sitting there. And finally he says, "Open your eyes." I went, "You want me to open now or later?" And I went back and I closed my eyes. But he was kind of surprised, but you can actually control your heart rate mentally. That's been proven.
Oh, yes.
So
It
it's
just
like
takes a lot of
acupressure. Press on this
diligence
hand
and
to make this one not feel sore.
And that's sometimes even acupuncture can help. There have been studies showing that acupuncture.
Breathing techniques, things of that
Massage,
nature.
anything which is
Yes.
relaxing, increases the blood flow, and
Yes.
takes away your immediate concerns.
Add meditation.
Meditation.
Whatever anyone can find that works.
Them to help alleviate the stress, go for it, because you don't want to have that transfer to something like flying an airplane, or doesn't matter what profession you're in, it will come out in many ways, and you don't want that to happen, especially when you have people that are relying on you. Any other questions?
So I'm flying my airplane with a very little, small meal tonight. So my meal, because I left my wallet at home, I couldn't order a sandwich en route, which I normally do. And then I give half to the wife because I ordered the 12-footer, or the 12-inch. So tonight it was a quick peanut butter and jelly. Told my grandson, "Tell Grammy I'm gone. I'll be home about 9:30.
Yes, but peanut butter is also a good protein.
Oh, it is. I
Which
understand.
is really, it helps to, it's one of those complex carbs, actually. I love peanut butter.
Good.
Anything else?
Thank you very much. Good
Oh,
job.
Thank you.
Don't forget yours.
Wow. Definitely wasn't
Good job.
expecting that.
Good for you.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. It was very good. Let's continue in the same direction. That's a good reminder for all of us to take care of ourselves, and it will help us to extend our flying career and our abilities in life. I can say that emotions are extremely important, and being aware of the emotional surroundings at all times, especially when we are in a critical types of engagements through the day. Like flying is one of them, but even driving the car or riding a motorcycle, anything where you need a lot of attention to detail. And if you have stress in your life and some kind of concerns which keep your thoughts away from what you are doing, you may forget to go through the checklist or forget to maybe check in with the traffic controller or don't pay attention for terrain. And there is plenty of accidents where the emotional aspect was a part of a problem. So besides just eating, keep your stress levels low. Learn how to leave your concerns, your worries on the ground when you are flying, and concentrate on what you like to do, which is aviation. Yes?
I have a question for Michelle. What happened to the pilot that fell asleep for 40 minutes? Did he miss a call or did he wake up?
He actually regained consciousness.
Hmm?
He regained consciousness and he was able to actually land the plane.
So the trip was otherwise uneventful?
Except for that 40 minutes that he lost his lost
40
consciousness.
minutes.
Right.
Thankfully, he put it on autopilot.
You bet.
Well, he was lucky he had an autopilot.
Yeah.
right?
It was over, he did end up going 40 minutes out over the ocean over South.
Oh, he
South
missed a
Australia.
turn too.
So, yeah, it was South Australia, Southeast Australia, Southwest Australia.
So,
All right. Terry, welcome.
Hello.
Do you have anything to talk about, or just?
I can run a few things by here, so just giving an update on operations. We're getting Zelda back to the squadron on September 1st. We probably talked about that, just to talk about it again. That would also mean that if you have a Form 5 that's upcoming in September or October, and your G1000 qualified, it'd be a good idea to try to get a Form 5 before 743 goes down to Fullerton. It'll just make it a little more convenient for you. G1000 is one of those things that goes away if you don't take your Form 5 in a G1000 aircraft. So going forward, we're going to have the 206 G500, which does not qualify you for G1000. So if you get a Form 5 in, say, October in Zelda, then you lose your G1000 qualification. Albeit it is a abbreviated Form 5 to go get the G1000 endorsement. So you wouldn't have to fly the full flight evaluation. It would just, they would just evaluate you for that portion of the flight. But, so that's something to think about. Some good news. Have you guys talked about the new wing commander that's incoming? Okay, so Craig Newton is out of Group 7, which is our next door neighbor group. Craig is the person that I was actually hoping that would get this assignment as group or as wing commander. I've known Craig for a very long time. He's in DOV. He's a mission check pilot examiner, meaning it's about as high you get up on the emergency services food chain for flying. And so he's a pilot, is the first thing that I wanted to say about that. He knows what it is to be a pilot in Civil Air Patrol, what it means to be a pilot for mission flying. And I think that that's going to be a huge benefit to all of us, because he's going to be mission-minded. More mission-minded than this past wing commander has been, and hopefully forward-thinking and seeing if there's some ways we start thinking outside the box to bring new missions here to Civil Air Patrol. Beyond that, also, I do know that he likes flying that Turbo 206. He lives in Fullerton. So probably a further drive for him to go to San Diego, and it'd be Riverside. So dovetailing on that, our flight performance for the group this year is astonishing. We only have 2 aircraft, but we're on track to fly almost 700 hours in those 2 aircraft, which is phenomenal. 200 hours is the minimum to keep an aircraft, or you've got to explain why you didn't fly the 200 hours, so we're way beyond that. And I'll just take the time here to thank Andre. Andre is 2nd or 3rd in the wing in terms of total flight hours for pilots, so congratulations on that. that's going a long ways. But also, we've got some guys over at 45 at March, they're doing a lot, they're doing their part flying cadets. So beyond just the total number of hours, it's more important to look behind the curtain and say, well, what kind of hours are being flown? And if you look at those, and A1, which would be obviously search and rescue, that's our primary mission. A2, A3, I'm not sure what A2 is. A3 is counter drug, and then A18. Those are the 4 primary missions that we fly. Of course, there's all the numbers in between that are training and evaluation and, technically advanced aircraft stuff. Anyway, the long story short is we've flown, of real missions, we've flown our aircraft here, we've flown 345 hours. Almost half of that, 153 hours, has been real Civil Air Patrol missions, okay? That also deserves a hand, because that's more than anybody else in the wing by over 60 hours.
Wow.
In an aircraft. That's, and again, big thanks to Andre getting his mission pilot rating there on that, but also Lon, wherever he is, he's not here tonight, keeping the aircraft up and running, and Mike Swift, and everybody has a hand in this, so. And then lastly, I would say, I started to mention the guys at 45, they've been flying a lot of cadets. Even so, even as much as they are flying our aircraft here, this aircraft has flown 82.1 hours of cadet orientation flights this year. Each flight is roughly 0.7 to 0.8, so well over 100 cadets have flown in this aircraft here. That's first in California wing by at least 20 hours. So we're flying cadets, we're training these kids up that want to become, want to get into aviation. We're flying missions, we're flying total hours. I don't know what else we'd have to do to make the point that we should get our aircraft back. So I'm making that point. I'm now in a position, a little bit of authority as a group DO to make that case, and I'll be making that case. So we'll see what happens. Other than that, I apologize, I haven't been here very much. I've been actually doing a lot with Civil Air Patrol, but not here at the squadron level. Doing a little bit of group, but most of what I've been doing is flying this year. So for those of you who don't know, I'm involved with a couple of different companies, and it takes an awful lot of my time. And by the time 7 o'clock comes around, I just want to go to bed versus going out. But I'm going to try to make a little bit more concerted effort to get out here at least once a month, and hopefully get you 2 guys flown here sometime soon, and whoever else wants to get a flight that has not flown yet in the aircraft, and hopefully get something more consistent going on Tuesday nights for flying. So anyway, that's about all I have. I would say that I was expecting to see carpet in here, but I guess that's not happening.
You missed the update, so we finally have 3 quotes on that piece of carpet from 3 vendors, and they selected the vendor who will install it. So they now place a purchase order for the carpet. And hopefully by end of the month we'll have it. And so at Nighthawk maybe we'll celebrate the new carpet.
Well, once that comes in, we're going to be acquiring you might not even know this, I'll just tell you, the plan is to acquire a trophy case. This squadron has a long history. It was founded back in the 1950s by a guy named Russ Kaufman, P-47 Thunderbolt pilot that was shot down over Germany, escaped and evaded, was finally captured as a POW. It's actually on his shoulders that we all ride, and a couple of years ago when the aircraft was transferred out of here, it was almost like it was like the death blow to me. I literally was going to walk away from Civil Air Patrol. I'd had it with the politics and all that, but there was one guy I couldn't turn my back on, and that was Russ Kaufman. And so I flew my ass off that year, and we had a bunch of people come in, and you started flying here, and so we started picking it back up. And now we're back to where we are now, thanks to you. But we're going to pay a little bit of homage to those guys. We have lots of memorabilia here that we have stored and tucked away that we're going to put on display there. So just as a side note, we actually would like to have Roy Knight come up here and make a aerospace education presentation one night and see if we can't get an all hands on deck kind of a thing and actually do a slideshow and talk about all the guys that came before us here in the squadron. Because it was quite a squadron back in the day when I joined in 1992. We had 27 aircraft in the squadron. That's a lot of aircraft. It's a lot of pilots, and we always answer the bell. There were searches going on every other week. And so anyway, some good times to talk about, maybe over a beer during a hangar party, some of these guys. And Cappy, you go down, you go back for at least 25 years, don't you?
96, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think Tim Speller, our chaplain, got me started about
Okay, right.
98 out of Redlands, and then we end up at San Bernardino, and that was another thing.
Yeah. We'll have to talk about who this guy is sometime too. Greg Little, probably everybody wonders who that guy is. I'll tell that story.
Yeah, that would be great. So please invite Roy, and let's have a kind of Squadron History Day, at least sometime in the near future.
We're gonna do that. Once we, the plan is, once we get this lobby finished here and get that case in there, Roy and I are gonna go through and pick out all the things that are most meaningful, arrange it, and then we'll do that. So, I think that part of what makes this squadron unique is that longevity and the history, and I think that by learning about it and learning about those people, it's not only interesting, but it also gives us a sense of purpose here to know that we're carrying on something that they started in a meaningful way.
Yeah, and I'd like to continue in the same fashion. I'd like to say thank you to our members who carry this unit forward. It's been a difficult year. It's actually a year since I took over command for Squadron 5. At times it was hard to believe we can build it back. We didn't have enough active members, but new members come in, they pick up a load. Terry, Mike, Bob, Roger, Michelle and Chris coming aboard and taking additional roles. Dave is always there with a YouTube channel ready to go. With maybe a couple of times you couldn't make it, but that's really doesn't matter. I mean, we make this unit work and we make it interesting, we make it engaging. I alone wouldn't be able to do it. I do my best, but it takes team effort to actually come together and revive and live up to those high standards this squadron actually established over the history. So thank you all, I really appreciate it, and this coming Nighthawk will celebrate the history of the unit, and will continue to carry it forward. I'd like to mention one thing. You probably missed it in your emails, or maybe disregarded, but there was a request for awards. If you feel like your fellow unit member have done above and beyond, it's not that hard. Take that form for award recommendation, write to the best of your ability why you think that person have done great things, and send it up to the group. We need to recognize our members, and I promise I will recognize those of you who have done great things. I really appreciate everything you do. So I'd like to mention that Chris, although he couldn't make it a couple of meetings in a row, he started a new job. He travels actually. He's in, I believe, Chicago area this week. But he has been a great asset for the unit and for the group. He's probably, I don't know how to run the report, but based on my assessment, he's the highest hours as a mission observer, to my belief. He jumps on a mission, he signs up for the Imperial missions whenever the opportunity comes up. And keep in mind, especially if you are just in the process of coming aboard, I know we have this kind of stupid requirement to get mission scanner rating, but I highly recommend you to get mission observer rating. Because you essentially, as a pilot, especially if you are a pilot, it's super easy to get. but it gets you in the right seat and it gives you the first-hand experience with everything we do. So go for it, get it done, especially now. Actually, you don't have to go to SAREX to get your mission observer rating. You can do it on open mission, which is rolling through the fiscal year, as long as funds are available. We have sets for all the tasks you are required to get fulfilled. We can get check pilot who is a set to fly with you and sign you off. So get it done. It's not hard, and it's very rewarding. You can actually start flying. And from mission observer, if you already have familiarity with aviation, you have a pilot license, to get to the through Form 5 will be easier if you had your experience as an observer. Any questions on that? Any of this? Yes.
When is the San Diego SAREX?
I don't remember. I can look it up. But if you look through your emails, you'll find it. Just search SAREX in all the emails. It will be there.
Should be on the wing calendar also.
We gotta
Yeah,
try it.
I believe it's this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. This coming weekend. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I can look it up in my emails. Okay? For low-time pilots, don't think about it as a roadblock. Think about it as an opportunity. You get to fly more advanced aircraft at a much lower rate, and there is always an option to learn something, right? So we have 182 with G1000 in the area. We have 182 with round dials at Fallbrook and John Wayne. We have now Zelda coming back, which is 206 round dial, but it's technically advanced aircraft because it has G500 PFD. These are the options, and the rates we fly even on self-funded missions are super affordable. Yes.
Just to answer, it's the 19th and 20th is the San Diego Group 8 SAREX.
Right, this weekend coming. Good. Thank you, Chris. Okay, any questions? Well, we are pretty much at the top of the hour. I'll be here to answer your questions if you have any. If you need guidance on how to schedule a sortie, an airplane, find the pilot, don't hesitate, reach out to me. I'm pretty available through the day. Just text me ahead of time. If I don't have your phone number on my address book, just identify yourself. This is, let's say, well, Chris, I have your number, and I have your number, Luke, but for those who is not on my list, just text me, let me know who you are and why you need to talk to me, and I'll call you back as soon as I can. Okay, thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andre.